What a season we've had in Formula One. It feels like we're back to the thrilling 2008 championship between Hamilton and Massa, but now it's Red Bull and Mercedes in the spotlight. After 7 long years of Mercedes dominance, we were all taken aback when Red Bull overtook Mercedes. Hamilton, in a desperate attempt to secure his 8th title, needed to win the last 4 races, but he couldn't. On the other hand, Aston Martin and Fernando Alonso have been a beacon of hope, despite Ferrari's inconsistent performance and Alpine's organizational challenges. And we can't forget the surprise of the year, McLaren making a strong comeback, outperforming both Ferrari and Mercedes in performance after a mid-season upgrade. Red Bull's Verstappen, currently with a 125-point lead over his teammate, has been breaking F1 records with his RB19, surpassing McLaren MP4's record of 11 consecutive wins in 1988. But not everyone is happy with this dominance. Hamilton and Mercedes' Toto Wolff have expressed their disappointment with what they call a monotonous championship, yet the rest of the drivers have been providing surprises and fierce competition. What a season, my friends! What a season! Hello, my dear listeners, this is Enzo, alongside the fantastic William. We're broadcasting live to you, as usual, here on the F1 Motor Fever podcast channel, every day at noon and 4 o'clock, Brasilia time. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, leave a smart comment and share with friends and family. You know how it is, right? This helps us a lot to keep bringing you these hot news.
That's right, Enzo. And believe me, folks, you won't want to miss what's coming up.
Exactly, William. The information we're going to share with you today is surprising. It was an unforgettable Formula One season, full of twists and surprises. But why is this news relevant to you? Because it shows how the sport is constantly evolving and how each season brings new challenges and opportunities for teams and drivers. So, foot on the pedal. Hold on. Here we go. Felipe, Vicente, roll the jingle. Well, as I was saying, the 2021 Formula One season was breathtaking. The much-talked-about Netflix series, Drive to Survive, helped bring new fans to the sport, and they were treated to an electrifying season. The decisive championship race, something not seen since 2008 when Hamilton and Massa fought for the title in Brazil. There are heated debates about whether race director, Michael Masi, bent the rules or whether Mercedes made a major strategic error by not changing Hamilton's tires. But one thing is certain, the season had it all. Hamilton needed to win the last 4 races to secure his 8th title, and he almost did, but Red Bull finally broke Mercedes' 7-year dominance.
True, Enzo, and now things are quite different. Hamilton's Mercedes is in trouble, while Aston Martin has significantly improved. But it's Fernando Alonso who has kept Silverstone team's hope alive of achieving a surprising 2nd place in the Constructors' Championship.
Exactly, William, and Ferrari, by their standards, has been lamentable with an inconsistent car. And Alpine, well, after 4th place last year, they fired several key figures from the organization. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's the resurgence of McLaren. Since the big mid-season upgrade, they've been better than Ferrari and Mercedes, but unlike Aston Martin, their drivers are very close in the competition.
And, of course, we can't forget about Verstappen. He's dominating the championship and is already 125 points ahead of the runner-up, breaking all kinds of decades-old F1 records. With the possibility of winning all the races of the year, the car designed by Adrian Newey may become another milestone in F1 history.
Not to mention Renault, who are going to abandon F1. And, despite complaints about the lack of excitement, mainly from Toto Wolff, the truth is that Max's dominance has generated quite interesting discussions. We can't forget Hamilton's taunt to Sergio Perez, suggesting that things would be quite different for Max if he were driving the Mexican's car. So, my friends, what can we expect from here on out? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain, the adrenaline is guaranteed. But look, William, if we take Verstappen out of the equation, the races among the other front runners have been anything but predictable.
True, Enzo. Perez seemed like he was going to challenge his teammate after winning 2 of the first 4 races, but he ended up losing pace. Fernando Alonso and Aston Martin were ahead for some time, but now the McLaren duo seems to be ahead of rivals Mercedes, Ferrari and Aston Martin.
And Alonso, who has the most F1 experience on the grid, explained, "This is Formula One, it's always been like this, dominance of a single team. it was years of Hamilton and Bottas in first and second. In the past, Vettel and Webber. And we must also mention Williams' radical decision about the 2024 car.
But, Enzo, behind Verstappen the competition is fierce. As Alonso explained, if you have the fastest car, you can start a little behind and still make some overtakes. But if you're in any other car, everyone is within a tenth or something like that. So, wherever you qualify, you pretty much guarantee that position, and there aren't many overtakes after the second or third lap.
Exactly, William. And Fernando emphasized this, adding that, if you remove the Red Bulls, sometimes, a 6/10 difference can throw you from 3rd position to 16th in Q1. And then, you finish the qualification in the order you deserve. And speaking of which, some races have been a bit procedural and with fewer overtakes.
The big question, which is most important to Liberty Media, who hold the commercial rights to the sport, is whether Red Bull and Verstappen's dominance is turning off the Formula One audience. Bernie Ecclestone, who ran the sport for nearly 2 decades, was desperate to conquer America, aware of the power of corporate sponsorship that would then be unleashed.
But with the advent of the Netflix series, Drive to Survive, the US audience became interested in the behind-the-scenes stories of the F1 characters in the paddock, which translated into a larger audience, whether on the circuit or on TV. So the question remains, has Red Bull and Verstappen's dominance really diminished interest in the sport? From what we're seeing, it doesn't seem so. And you, listener, what do you think about this? And speaking of McLaren, the team boss reacted to Norris's harsh words. But, getting back to the audience, Liberty CEO Greg Maffei informed investors this week that F1 had particularly strong growth in the US this year.
Enzo, when you say solid growth, can you give some examples of what that means in this context?
Sure, William. According to Maffei, the audience on ESPN increased compared to the average viewers of 2022. And he said that F1 TV also performed strongly, which may surprise those who think Verstappen's dominance is a turn-off. The 2023 season has already seen 3 of the 4 largest live audiences in the history of F1 on US TV, including Miami, Monaco, and the Canadian Grand Prix. Almost all races average over 1 million viewers. These are gigantic numbers for the US market.
And what about tickets for the races, Enzo? Are they also in high demand?
Yes, William, ticket sales for Miami and Austin, Texas, have been particularly strong. The exception is Las Vegas, where the combination of sky-high prices and perhaps a wait-and-see mentality has made it difficult for F1 to sell out the event in Sin City.
So, can we say that the American audience is here to stay?
Exactly, William. Many sports fans in the US support teams that rarely win shiny prizes, but their passion is strong and they return year after year. The Drive to Survive series introduced a menu of personalities that F1 fans in the US loved. So, despite Verstappen's near-total dominance on the tracks, the audience is growing. We still have a lot ahead in F1, especially with the debut of the Saturday night race in Las Vegas, the penultimate event of the 2023 season. So, yes, American fans are here to stay.
And, Enzo, to update us on the emerging figures in F1, did you see that Zhou Guanyu and the Alfa Romeo team had a lot of fun doing the Start-Stop Challenge?
Yes, William, this shows that, in addition to all the intensity of the competition, there is still room for fun and camaraderie in F1. After all, despite all the rivalry on the track, these drivers are colleagues in the profession and often good friends outside of racing.
And that's one of the things I love about F1, Enzo, this mix of fierce competition with moments of relaxation and friendship.
I agree, William Turner. It humanizes the sport and allows us to see a different side of these incredible drivers. And speaking of fierce competition, I'm looking forward to seeing what the next race has in store.
Absolutely, Enzo. I'm sure we have many thrills ahead. And you, listener of our F1 Motor Fever podcast, what do you expect to see in the upcoming races? Be sure to share with us.
And now, William Turner, how about we take a look at what the internet is saying about F1?
Sure, Enzo. There's an interesting comment here from user XXU, who said, the trophy for this weekend's Dutch Grand Prix.
That's definitely going to generate some interesting discussions.
And you hit the nail on the head, Enzo. User quirky_interview_329 replied, Golden Lion, already customized for Max. And EGVP added, it even has his car number on it.
It seems the fans are betting high on Maximum.
And it doesn't stop there, Enzo. Grazed by my meatloaf suggested, put his face on the trophy too. And added, I'd love if they were bold enough to do that, and then Hamilton ends up winning and has a trophy with Max's face on it.
That would be really interesting to see.
CH4Rly_G made an interesting observation. He said, if my memory serves, the FIA has to approve all trophies, and they have some mandatory elements.
Yes, true. It's always good to remember that, despite all the fun from the fans, there are rules to be followed.
And, to wrap up, we have the comment from user Liam759 who said, until Lando breaks it again.
Ah, Lando, always surprising us.
That pretty much sums up the discussion on the internet, Enzo. As you can see, the fans are quite excited and creative.
Absolutely, William. And that's one of the things I love most about F1, this passion from the fans. And so we come to the end of another episode of our F1 Motor Fever podcast. Thank you for joining us. We've talked about so many interesting things today, a real tour of the world of Formula One. Remember to subscribe so you don't miss any of our episodes, activate notifications so you don't miss any news. And, of course, don't forget to comment and share our podcast with your friends.
That's right, Enzo. We're here every day, at noon and 4 o'clock, always ready for a good chat about F1. And believe me, we have lots of cool things prepared for the upcoming episodes. So, don't miss out.
And we can't forget to thank our entire technical team, especially Felipe and Vicente, who are always working hard so we can bring the best content to you.
Yes, a big shout out to these guys who make everything happen. And as we say here on F1 Motor Fever podcast, we're always looking forward to the next episode.
Absolutely, William. And as we always say here, pedal to the metal and eyes on the track, our channel always wins. See you in the next episode, folks. Now, roll the jingle.